non-quota system at those days was revolutionary. It was just an accepted thing that Jews and blacks had quotas for entrance into most institutions of higher learning. It was an act of faith on the part of the entire Roosevelt University family at that time that we were bitterly opposed to it, testified against it, brooded about. We're very proud of the fact that we were being innovative and proving to the world that people can get along if you just leave them alone, that you don't have to have artificial barriers for entrance into a school other than the fact that you have to cut the mustard in order to make the institution work. It was that kind of a spirit that just, we were different. We were better because we didn't have hang-ups about race and sex and color. And consequently, we were the American dream, you know, come a cropper.
Can you talk about your vision of fairness as it relates a little bit to the experiences you had back then?
I believe in fairness as a right. I think it's inherent in a democratic society that people should have the right to participate in everything that there is to participate in. For example, affirmative action is based on that concept, but affirmative action to me is a broad thing. It's not just blacks and women, it's Hispanics, it's Asians, it's whomever. It might be Poles, it might be Lithuanians or Jews or whomever at any given time are put upon. But fundamentally, fairness deals with making it possible for everyone as a right to reach his highest potential. It goes to the question of contracts, it goes to the question of hiring, it goes to the question of promotion, it goes to the question of how you deal with neighborhoods. How does it relate to Roosevelt? I suppose my feelings about this were honed in that atmosphere. It's hard to say where. Where does one get the ambition to be, for example, a TV producer? In a given spot? Was it at home? Was it at school? Was it a flash of light, like a calling you got? You don't really know, but I would suspect that to a great extent my experiences at Roosevelt University have helped to hone and crystallize my ideas about government and how it should be run, and my populist ideas about how people should be treated in the process of running government. The stridency of the opposition here in Chicago, in my opinion, is based upon two different conceptions of how the world should operate and how government should function, clashing. I think the reverberations are overdrawn, but they're there. On the one hand, you have an outmoded system on its way out, but held together by, if I may say so, venal people who saw benefit from it. The inside dopesters, I call them. The old boys crowd. They want to maintain a system in which they and their cronies or they and their cohorts benefited materially. No question about that. Not only benefited materially, but had all the trappings of power and all the status of power and a feel-good attitude about it. But clearly, the press of numbers, the democratic thrust, the desire to participate, feelings about the need for fairness to proliferate, these things are what motivated our movement. It wasn't just race, as people want to put it on. That wasn't a factor at all. It was just that a solid group of people, a phalanx, if you will, most of whom happened to be black, simply said, look, we can't keep this up. We're contributing and getting nothing out of it, so let's go another direction. And so these two concepts clashed. Now, we've tried to conceptualize the whole thing, not just yesterday and today, but before then. We've tried to conceptualize it around what we call a reform movement, at which fairness is a key principle of that whole movement. It's succeeding. At Roosevelt, you didn't have quite that. You had a consensus within the university speaking out as one about the desire to not only harbor a participatory democracy within the walls of the school, but that should be a way of life outside the borders of the school. And so if that was a clash, it was between what was going on in the school and the world outside, which did not necessarily agree with it. Whereas here in the city, you have the out-and-out confrontation between these competing forces with clearly the reform movement winning out.
What kind of lessons do you think students should try and pick up from the Washington administration today?
Oh, it's a basic principle. If you really believe in impacting on the world, then your choices are limited. you have to organize and you have to propagandize. There are no other choices. You're not going to do it by yourself, and perhaps you shouldn't. And you're not going to do it unless you can schematize your thoughts and put them out to people so that they understand what you're talking about. You have to communicate, organize, propagandize. That's it. Students can have a tremendous effect on the world, and that's been proven time and time again, not just in this country, but in every country, if they decide they want to do so. They have the luxury and the leisure of not having to make a living, most of them. They're an elitist group in the sense that most of them are mastering the discipline of logical thought. They have all kinds of standards. They've got time. They've got everything that is needed to demand that they make a contribution in terms of how they feel. And it's not unusual that students historically have been a tremendous factor in moving and changing the courses of government and the course of history. So if a guy is going to school or a girl is going to school just to master an art or discipline to make a living, I think you've blown half of your purpose. Some of that time should be spent toward trying to think about a better world and how you can get along with each other. Arguments about race, sex, nationality, and ethnicity are meaningless in the final analysis. The real thrust should be how you bring all this together into a mosaic so that diversity is turned into something useful and meaningful rather than an area for clash and controversy.